Okay, so here's one.
On April 3rd, a female YouTube content creator opened fire on YouTube headquarters, injured 3 people, and killed herself. This is what she said. My videos don't get views because they get filtered out and age restricted while being appropriate, while inappropriate content is actively promoted and very often reaches children. She was so angry that her brother even warned the police that she might do something to YouTube when she went missing.
A woman who last lived in the San Diego area.
We see tragic accidents like this in America from time to time. There are mass shootings and suicides, which makes us wonder why America allows gun ownership despite its danger and side effects. So in this video, I'm having a few Americans speak about their opinions, mainly on why they want it to be legal for citizens to have guns. So let's bring them in. What are your thoughts on having guns in America? Do you think it should be legal for citizens to have guns in the United States?
Yeah, in my opinion, guns should be legal. It is totally someone's personal opinion whether they choose to actually own a gun or not, but I do think that it should be their choice. It should be legal so they can choose to if they would like to.
In America, we have the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment is the Free Speech Amendment. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, and that's for protection, which would include firearms, but is not limited to firearms. So, I mean, that could be, a knife, a bow and arrow. I mean, it could be a lot of things.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I think in this country we should have more gun control regulation. For example, I would want a ban on military-style weapons. I would make it illegal to carry concealed weapons, which in some states is legal right now. I've gotten really tired of the number of mass shootings and a lot of the gun violence we see in the cities. Guns here are used for suicides as well, and so it makes the mortality of suicides increase.
I think if you're mentally unstable, obviously you should not be able to own a firearm because you pose a danger to yourself and others. But our Fourth Amendment is due process, which means, you have these rights until a jury of your peers says, no, you cannot have those rights anymore.
You know that there are mass shootings and suicides and other accidents. So don't you think that owning guns contributed to that a lot? What do you think?
Without a gun, there's no such thing as a mass shooting. But I would say that if someone is intent on doing evil, you can take away a gun, but they will still find another way. Well, it's also illegal to murder someone.
Right, but it still happens.
Right, obviously, those people did not follow the law. And so the same thing, people are using cars to run people over. And sometimes these people are killing more people with cars than they are with guns. The idea that guns are the cause of mass shootings, I think, is wrong. It's the evil in people that causes mass shootings. The gun is just the tool that they've chosen to use, but if they're truly intent on harm, they'll find a different tool.
So if someone was determined to suicide, do you think they would do it anyways, even if, having guns were illegal?
They might do it anyway, but guns make it such that they're more likely to be successful in their suicide attempt. Whereas I think other means of suicide are
they might fail.
Not as successful, which is good because then you can get them the help they need.
I completely agree. Like, if someone were to come into a school setting, let's say, and they didn't have a gun and they were just trying to hurt people, they would be probably a lot less successful, so to speak. I mean, they would probably hurt a lot less people. But making guns illegal is not going to keep people from getting guns. So if their intention is to shoot someone, they're going to steal a gun. Or, you know what I mean? Like, if they're already willing to do something that's illegal, I mean, what's going to stop them from somehow getting a gun? The fact that the gun itself was illegal wouldn't matter to them. The people who are actually trying to live by the law would then no longer be able to own guns, and so it would only be the criminals at that point who would have the guns.
Can you tell us what you do with your guns? I know you have some guns.
Sure. I have a few guns. Some of them I inherited from my grandpa. Some of them I bought with my own money. And I actually have one that I'll show you in a little bit that I made. I built it myself.
Really?
The things I do with my guns, probably the number one thing, and you'll probably think that I'm going to say hunting, but it's not. I do hunt, but honestly, I spend more time shooting with international students than I do anything else. They're from countries where they don't have access to guns. And one of the things that they say that they want to do is shoot guns. And I say, I have guns, let's go shoot. I can't think of any student that has not enjoyed themselves. All of them have told me, I had such a good time, it was so much fun. So one of my friends that was in New York flew from New York to Kansas just to shoot guns.
Really? You know what? When my parents came to the United States for the first time, which was last year, they tried shooting guns for the first time in their entire lives, and they had fun. 어때?
오, 센데.
재밌어? 조심해. 어.
야. 야.
하나, 둘, 셋!
아우 무서워. 반동이 너무 심하고 힘이 좀 있어야 되고 손을 쫙 펴야 돼.
박영민 선수 출발!
한 번만 더.
She said she was too scared to try it, but she's like, one more time.
This is better than golf.
It was a little intimidating, but it was a unique experience that they couldn't have in Korea. So, yeah.
The other thing, obviously, would be hunting. I love hunting. I hunt deer. Actually, walk with me here for a minute.
Ooh, show and tell.
This is one of the deer that I shot.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Here's a female.
What?
So I hunt deer, I hunt coyotes, I hunt squirrels.
Do you eat them?
Yep, I eat everything that I hunt. Honestly, that's how I provide a lot of meat for our family. You know, if I shoot 2 or 3 deer in a year, that will pretty much last us a whole year. I have not eaten coyotes. They become a pest. My aunt has some property where she has chickens, and the coyotes will eat the chickens. So I will hunt the coyotes to protect the chickens, and then I will harvest the fur from the coyotes.
My grandfather is a big gun owner and he loves hunting. I wouldn't totally outlaw guns because I do see a lot of people where it's kind of their lifestyle, hunting.
And another thing is, in a situation with the government, if the government were to become corrupt,
we as a citizenry, we are armed, and so if the government says, hey, we're going to take away your free speech, you can't have that anymore, we can rise up against the government. And that was part of the Founding Fathers' plan. If the people are able to rise up against the government, then the government cannot rise up against the people. Does that make sense?
I mean, I just don't feel like we're at the point where we need to have those weapons because our government is that corrupt. I mean, we have a pretty well-established democracy. I just don't think we're at that point in this country, at least. We have such a big military that even if every citizen here owned a gun, I mean, the military would squash us. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. I think
The 2 other things that I would say that I do with firearms is I just go out and I target practice, I train, and then I also use a firearm for protection.
such as a self-defense situation, if there was an intruder in a school or a church or a public setting, a lot of times those shooters are stopped by other people who own guns.
Which I have not had to, but should I need to protect my family or myself, or someone else that I care about, I have that option.
That's very fair. But what if someone says, that's what the police is for? Why don't you just call the police? Or there is the military that is supposed to protect us. What would you say?
That is a valid point. The police are there for protection. But most people have a fire extinguisher. But you're not a fireman. You're not trained to put out a fire.
Right.
And
There is
you've never
911.
used a fire extinguisher before. So why not just call the fire department? So I would say it's because the fire department takes a long time to get to your house. Let's say someone breaks into my house. If I call the police, it will take approximately 4 minutes for them to get to my house. And 4 minutes is pretty fast. But if someone is in my house trying to do me harm, it's a choice between my life or theirs, or my wife's life, or my baby's life and theirs. I will shoot them to protect the lives that I care about. In much the same way that people have a fire extinguisher because it takes the fire department a long time to get to your house, I have a firearm because it takes the police a long time to get to my house. I never anticipate having to use that firearm, and the chances that I do are very slim. But the chances that I ever have to use a fire extinguisher are also pretty slim. And I like to have my safety in my hands rather than trusting somebody else to take care of my safety.
Would you carry a gun to protect yourself?
Personally, I don't plan on ever carrying a gun. I love to shoot at targets and things like that. I think it's a lot of fun. But I have come to the conclusion in my mind that I don't think I could shoot at or towards another human. Even if it was in a self-defense situation, I just don't think I would be able to do it. Even if it costs my life, at this point, that's not a decision I want to be put with. I would rather have someone take my life than have to make the choice
To take someone else's
to
life.
possibly take theirs.
What a beautiful heart. Well, the heart that wants to protect themselves and their families is also as beautiful, but yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And, you know, for a lot of people, that's why they would like to have a gun. If someone came into a public setting, they could defend
Yeah,
the majority of
right,
the people there.
right.
And I think that that is super respectable, and that's great. I'm glad that there are people who are willing to
Do that.
put themselves in that situation. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Would you carry a gun to protect yourself?
You know, I don't think I would, mostly because a lot of accidents can happen with guns. I mean, even in the military, people who are very well trained in using this weaponry often have what's called friendly fire. So I would just be afraid that that would happen to me. And so I'd rather carry around like pepper spray or something, I guess, less deadly.
Do you have a couple of guns that you can show us?
Yeah, I have. Okay, so here's one. This is an AR-15. This is what a lot of people want to ban. In the past couple years, this has been the choice gun for like people who are going to do mass shootings. They've carried one of these. It shoots this bullet. This gun is a gun that I built. It's also an AR-15, but it shoots this round. And this is one of the guns that I used for deer hunting. This one is a 9mm handgun. This is one that I use for like self-defense.
So do you think that there should be more regulations at all, or do you think the way it is now is fine and it is the best it can be?
I think we can also use other countries as an example for our country. So, for example, Australia, I think 1 or 2 decades ago, had a gun buyback program after one of their mass shootings. And there's been a reduction in gun violence. And a lot of the studies show it's because there aren't as many guns in circulation in that country. And in many countries in Europe, they have stricter gun laws, and you see less gun violence and less mass shootings.
I'm not opposed to new regulations. What I am opposed to is new regulations that will not fix the problems that we're seeing. And so far, all of the regulations that I've heard of, they don't actually fix the problem. One of the new regulations is it's a 3-day waiting period. So basically I go in and I say, hey, I want to buy this gun. And the gun owner will say, well, you have to wait 3 days before you can take the gun home. So some people think, oh, well, if that guy gets really mad and he's like, I'm going to kill that person, he can't just walk into a store, buy a gun, leave, and then go kill a person. He has to wait 3 days, and maybe after 3 days, he will have calmed down a little bit, and he won't just go out and act in a fit of rage.
Right.
But in reality, a lot of these people that have been causing like mass shootings and stuff, most of them have either stolen their gun or they've bought their guns years in advance and they've had their gun for a long time. Some people say, oh, we need to have magazine limits. This is a magazine, and it will hold 30 bullets. So that is what 30 bullets looks like.
Okay.
And so some people say we need to have magazine limits. No one should be able to hold 30 bullets in a gun at one time. But the student who did the Parkland shooting, where he killed 17 people, he didn't have 30-round magazines. He had 10-round magazines. He was able to switch magazines just as fast as somebody who had a 30-round magazine. And honestly, it only takes a second to switch a magazine out. But if somebody could come up with a law that would actually solve a problem, then yes, I would agree with that law.
I also think that it would be super hard to regulate a law like that because there are so many people who already own guns.
Is there anything else you want to touch on or talk about?
In my opinion, I don't think that guns are the problem. We can put a lot of blame on the gun itself, but honestly, like, if someone wanted to hurt a group of people, a gun is only one of the ways they could choose to do that. There's other things they could choose, and so we just need to spend way more time loving the people around us and encouraging people so they don't get to the point that they would want to take other people's lives and choose a gun to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see.
I think
Just
there's
like
so many
knives.
bigger things that we need to focus on.
Yeah, great. That was a great answer, and I think that was it. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Cool.
Yeah. You are very talented.
Thank
you.
you.
You could be a YouTuber. You're not camera shy at all. You're very natural, well-spoken.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was cool.
Yay. Like,
Hey, thumbnail. Pose for a thumbnail.
oh, we should have a girl pose. Yeah.
Okay. Is that like a gun?
Or something like that.
Awesome.